Let's move on to round 3. Here's the problem. The problem is that there might be an invasion in our country, in our little economy here. So we need the government to step in. That's right. Somebody might take your candy. Well, hold on to it.
Okay.
So, public safety, in other words, or police, or the idea of invasion from outside our little economy, can completely devastate. In fact, some other country or economy can come in and destroy all what you have. If war breaks out, everyone in this room will lose all their candy. Capitalists included, including the people who did no work anyway. You have to determine how much you want to spend and collect funds. If you guys put 0 candies, this is the number of candies, if you have 0 candies, there is a 100% chance of war. So that means it's guaranteed all of your candy is going to be gone. Right? So you got to have some national defense. Here's one of those things for this activity I haven't really nailed down yet because I haven't been able to run it that many times. So you might have to adjust it. First of all, with the group, with the students, I said if they put in no candies towards national defense, then they get a 100% chance of war. That means there's a guaranteed chance they're going to lose all their candy. If they put in 10 candies, then there's a 50% chance of war. If they put in 20 candies, their tax revenue, they collect 20 pieces of candy, then there's a 20% chance of war. If they collect 30 candies, and it's a 5% chance of war. And if there's 40 candies, then there's no chance of war. There's no chance that someone's going to take away their stuff. Okay, 2 things. First, I'm not sure if these numbers will work for you and for your students. I'm kind of shooting in the dark. Basically, I was looking around and seeing how many candies there were, and basically I thought, okay, they could probably put a total of 40 in here with the number of people in the class. So you're going to have to kind of make a call based on how many candies were created by basically how many dips they did. So you don't want to have the number too low. If you said, okay, you only need to collect 3 pieces of candy, then they're not going to have that conversation about who pays and is it unfair if some people pay more, if some people pay less. So in this case, I went for 40 total candies for a 0% chance of war. And second point, keep in mind that I didn't just say, okay, 40 pieces of candy, then that's what you need to cover national defense. I made it on a scale because I want students to understand the idea of marginal analysis, right? There's a certain amount of government spending that needs to be done for national defense, and it's not like, you have the choice, okay, there's no war or you just can have war. There's a range. How much do you spend on national defense and police and other things that we need collectively? How much public spending you spend? Well, it depends. Ready, and develop a tax system.
Dylan had a really good idea.
So for every 3 candies you have, put one of them in. So if you have 1 or 2 candies, you don't have to pay, but say you have 6 and you put in 2. If you have 3, you put in 1.
So people with more candy will put more, less candy will put less. Let's collect it on this desk.
In this case, students collected 40 pieces of candy, so they didn't have to worry about war. But I've done it before where the students only collected 30 pieces, and when they did 30, then we said, okay, there's a 5% chance. And so what I did is, I took out 20 different cards, and I put only 1 ace in there, and I had some student randomly pick. And so if they picked the ace, then we went to war, then I take away all their candy. So there was a 20% chance of having to go to war in that case. And in that case, they didn't go to war. Ended up being fine, and so the calculated risk that they took by not collecting a total amount of taxes ended up working for them. Does that make sense? Again, you don't have to do it that way, but I set it up that way so students could think, okay, public goods are important, but how much public goods? Well, that's a discussion we need to have. Anyways, you're going to have to fiddle with that a little bit to see how it's going to work with you and your students and change it based on the number of students that are in your class running the activity. All right, so there's obviously some options here. What are some clear options you can do? Take them all from her. She's got the most. Take them all from her. Right? But remember, we're going to have more rounds in the future. After the students develop their tax system, have a conversation about whether it's fair or not fair that some people are paying taxes and some people are paying taxes, and have a conversation to talk about, do they have a regressive tax, a proportional tax, or a progressive tax? All right. So what was the system we came up with? For every 3, you put in 1. So that's a percent of how much? You made a 33% progressive income tax. The more money you make, the more, it's called a progressive income tax. There's 3 types of taxes. Raise your hand if you paid no taxes. Raise your hands nice and high. Is that fair? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of you. About half of you didn't pay taxes at all. Is that fair? What do you think?
It's not fair because they're being protected and not having to do anything to protect. So, like the social contract thing, everyone else is kind of agreeing we're all going to pay in order to protect the whole country, but they're just kind of sitting back, letting everyone else protect them. Even though they could contribute, they're not contributing.
Interesting. All right, go right here.
It could be seen as we're not working hard enough to earn our candies because we don't have enough to put in the taxes that were required.
So is it fair or unfair? It's unfair. Cool, someone tell me why this is fair. Why this is totally fair, yes?
We can't take what we don't have.
There you go. That's right, you can't take from the poor. If the poor, was that poor people who were clapping to that? Yay! Right, you can't have a tax on poor people. Here's what's interesting, ready for this? This is gonna be mind-bending for you. Most taxes are on poor people.
Yeah.
Most taxes. I'll give you a perfect example. The sales tax. The sales tax, it's 8 cents for everybody. Do you agree? 8 cents for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor. What's the percent of your income when you're poor, 8 cents? A larger percent than a super rich person. 8 cents is a very small percent of your income. Most taxes are on the poor. Most taxes are regressive, except for income taxes, which is progressive. It's a tax, the more you make, the more you gotta pay. You know what I'm saying? So the system's complicated. What's fair and what's not fair? I don't know. All right, here we go. Time for another round. Ladies and gentlemen, go back to either a king or a queen. Decide who you want to work for and how much you want to work for. Get on in there. Or get in position. 30 seconds on the clock for your dips. Ready and go. Out loud, out loud. Stop! All right. And at the end here, you have the students do dips again, and whoever did the most dips moves up to being a jack. Who did the most dips in the room? So raise your hand if you did at least 30 dips. Hands nice and high. 40. 50. Now a jack. Now again, I only had 50 minutes to run this activity, so I kind of ran out of time at the end. But in round 4, you have a conversation about how to distribute your income. So we have this idea of income inequality. We have several people who are making more than others because they own the factories. And so is that wrong or is that right? And how we distribute income. So you can have that conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to collect all of your candy, right? And we're going to distribute it equally, right now, okay? Is that fair? No. No. Yes, you think it's fair? Why do you think it's fair? Is that fair? No. So I like the activity overall. It was great to do at the beginning of the year to get students excited about economics and to think about some big ideas that help them realize, it's a little more complicated than you might think. So you think, oh, let's just, take our income and share it to everybody. But, that starts getting a little weird and hard when you realize you worked really hard and you did a lot of dips, but the person next to you didn't do any dips, but they're getting your candy. So you can have a conversation about these big picture concepts with students. And again, I'm not really kind of pushing one side or the other. I want them to have a discussion and a debate. And that's the key to this. I only had 50 minutes to run this activity, so I had to go pretty darn quick. So there's some things I'd probably change. For example, I might actually assign a student who's in charge of making sure people can actually, do the dips properly. There's a few people who had their feet underneath them, so they're kind of doing mini squats, and that's not what we want. You want your feet out, so you're using your triceps. So that's one thing you might want. And maybe that same person can help distribute the candy after each one of the rounds. So they're verifying people are actually doing the number of dips that they said they did, because there is an incentive to cheat here. But the reality is, I didn't have time for that. So you try that and let me know if it works in the comments. Now, one thing that doesn't make this very realistic is the idea that some people had so much candy. For example, one king had like 50 pieces of candy. They didn't mind giving a bunch away, 20 pieces away, because they can only consume so much candy anyways. But maybe they are just altruistic, nice people. So maybe that king was somebody who's like, no, I don't mind giving away my stuff. It doesn't matter. Anyways, the point is that this is a fun activity to have these conversations with students and talk about the role of the government and talk about the role of the individual and property rights. And most importantly, you're talking about economics, the things they're going to learn about in this class. We just talked about how you make an economy. You've got to start off by getting rid of anarchy. Anarchy doesn't work. Let's have a social contract. Let's say, okay, here's the rules. Here's the rules we're all going to live by. And then is it fair or not fair? Well, that's a conversation we have, and that's what you're going to learn about in an economics class. Hey, I want to give a huge thank you to Ms. Bogart and her seniors over at San Pasqual High School for letting me come in and work with them. It was so fun to get back in the classroom. Let me know, like I said before, in the comments below what changes you made to make this work for you, and let me know if this activity worked or if it didn't work, because that's important. I need that kind of feedback so we can all get better at teaching. Again, thank you so much for watching these videos. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'm going to keep posting new videos on this channel that's designed just for econ teachers. Thanks for watching. Until next time.